Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is N.J.F. Fuentes. We got a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Tuesday. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story, we're talking actually about a couple of things. Two stories very similar. Two stories, different months, different countries. But it's the same situation. It's the same situation playing out over and over again. Talked about it last night, talked about it last week. Our featured story, we're talking about the Scottish axe girl. Have you seen this? There was a clip going viral of a 14-year-old girl in Scotland who is being aggressively confronted by what seems to be a gypsy or a migrant, some kind of troublemaker in Scotland. And she quickly pulls out a giant kitchen knife and a battle axe, defending her group of friends, her group of young girl friends. And the clip goes viral, and everybody is loving it. Because, of course, the typical story, which is tragic, but all too common in the United Kingdom, is that how these encounters normally go is that the migrants will rape, mug, murder, or abuse the native children, native population of these European countries. How it normally goes is that these adult males that are coming into Europe from Africa, the Middle East, or wherever, they're invading to prey upon and abuse, in particular, the most vulnerable members of the native population, like the young girls, the young boys.
This is not just a shocking story about a teenager with an axe. It is a symptom of something much bigger: Europe's migrant crisis. For years, leaders promised safety and prosperity while opening borders without control. Now, ordinary citizens, even children, are being forced into impossible situations. The media refuses to ask, how did we get here, and who is responsible?
And it seems like there's a story every week. Grooming gangs, young boys killed, young women raped. And so this was interesting. They turned the tables. It was a 14-year-old girl with an axe and a knife. Under normal circumstances, you hate to see that. Why should a little girl have to carry around a battle axe and a knife walking around her own town? But many people treated her like a hero. Well, the story today is that that girl was arrested. The 14-year-old girl is being preyed upon by an outsider who should not be in the community. She gets charged. At the same time, today, there was an update on the case of Shiloh Hendricks. Shiloh Hendricks was that white woman, I believe, from Minnesota, suburbs of Minneapolis. She and her daughter were at the park. She was being creeped on by some Somalian male, a group of them actually, and she called one of them the N-word. At least that is what is being claimed. We don't see that on camera. She's recorded flipping off the guy, taking her kid and leaving the park. She got charged today, multiple crimes, multiple counts of disorderly conduct. And the statement from the government says that it caused so much stress and hurt feelings inside the community, so they're charging her with disorderly conduct. She didn't do anything. She didn't put her hands on the guy. She wasn't screaming and yelling. They had an altercation. She flipped the guy off. It was obviously a hostile confrontation. That's a criminal offense now? Why? Because she's white? Because it went viral? This is our lives now. You can either be Austin Metcalf or you can be Shiloh Hendricks. You can be Daniel Penny, or you can be one of these countless people that gets beat up or killed, that gets thrown in front of the subway and hit with the train. There's a word for this. It's called anarcho-tyranny. That's the state in which we live. Anarchy for the criminals, tyranny for the people abiding by the law, anarchy for the freeloaders, for the invaders, the migrants, the felons, tyranny for the taxpayers, the native-born, the students, the workers, the white people. This is our country. So we'll talk all about that. We're also going to talk tonight about a major row between the United States and France. Did you know that the U.S. ambassador to France is Charles Kushner? Jared Kushner's father. The U.S. ambassador to France, Charles Kushner, father of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of the President Donald Trump. He's also a felon, convicted real estate fraudster, felon, major supporter of Chabad Lubavitch in Russia, major supporter of Israel. Charles Kushner is involved in a major row with France after he wrote a letter to the French president saying they're not doing enough to crack down on anti-Semitism. Does this sound familiar? It seems like that's all this administration does, is crack down on anti-Semitism, right? The administration is cracking down on anti-Semitism in France, at Columbia, at Harvard, using FEMA funds, on TikTok. Everywhere you look, this administration and all its departments and agencies, it seems like they have their regular work, and then the other 60% is cracking down on anti-Semitism. Department of Education is holding the grants and loans to the universities hostage over anti-Semitism. HHS declared a health emergency over anti-Semitism. State Department is revoking visas over anti-Semitism. French ambassador is at war with Macron over anti-Semitism.
What Nick is pointing to here is deeper than one viral incident. France has riots, Britain has weak leadership, and the so-called elites are silent. Cultural decline and failed immigration policy go hand in hand. When leaders abandon tradition and strength, they invite chaos. This is not just about migrants, but about the survival of Western civilization itself.
It's endless. And we'll talk about this incident. Charles Kushner wrote a letter to Macron, said he's not doing enough to fight anti-Semitism. The French president actually summoned the U.S. ambassador. It's unclear if they actually met, but they summoned the ambassador to admonish him, and the French president's fighting back in the media. But Netanyahu and the United States are sticking by Charles Kushner. Israel and the United States are backing up the U.S. ambassador to France, admonishing the French president. Netanyahu's actually issued an ultimatum and said that if Macron does not crack down on anti-Semitism by the end of September, there might be some consequences. I wonder what that threat means. Very interesting connections, aren't there? France has made an enemy out of Russia and Israel. Macron, in particular, has made an enemy out of Putin and Netanyahu and the Kushner family in the United States. And who else? Oh, Candace Owens. I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that her and her husband received backing from Rebecca Mercer. Rebecca Mercer, who is married to someone involved with the Russian regime. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Or maybe it's just random. Maybe she is doing 2 seasons, many hours, all these attacks on the French president arbitrarily. It's random. As you know, things are so random. Nothing happens for a reason, and we know that. That's just a hunch. That's just a game theory. But anyway, before we get into the news, those will be our 2 big stories. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Make sure to get your hats. At the end of the day, you know, look, I wear a lot of hats around here. I wear the camo hat. I wear the black hat. I wear the blue hat. I wear a lot of hats around this place. I am a humble hat salesman. That's all I am. Racist, sexist, Islamophobic, homophobic, basket of deplorables. At the end of the day, what do I exist to do? Sell products. Sell great products at a reasonable price. Fuentes.store, they're made in America, free shipping. Get them while you can because we're going to take them off the store eventually. Fuentes.store, get them while you can. Wear them. They're great gifts. Christmas is coming up. Make sure to get your hats in time for Christmas. Also, make sure to subscribe. AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month. You get access to the entire archive. Everything I've ever said, done, thought. It's all there. Thousands of hours of content going back 10 years. See every episode of my high school show. Every episode of my RSBN show. Every gaming stream, interview, debate, commentary stream, Twitter space. It's all there. And if you join the $100 a month club, you get to join a group chat with me. There are no guarantees. I am going to probably attack you, probably call you stupid, but you'll be talking to me in real life. We have hundreds of members in the $100 a month club. Check it out. Join a Telegram group chat with me. I have to make that like a disclosure because I'm in the group chat and it's very much like the super chat section, but in real time. So I find myself fighting with everybody all the time, getting in debates. I'm losing my ability to talk to people. My mask is slipping. You're seeing the American psycho underneath. I'm in this group chat. I jump in there. I say, hey, good morning, everybody. What's going on? And people go, hey, why are you up so early? And it's like, hit me a loaded gun. No reason. I jump in there. I'm like, hey, everybody, what's up? How's it going? And people are like, what's up? Israel's up. Mossad. And it's like, okay, so I have no one to blame other than myself. I made my bed. I must lay in it with all of you. Pause. Not literally, figuratively. I jump in the group chat. I'm like, hey, everybody, what's going on? Oh, I'm just having lunch. What are you having? Jewish food? What are you having? What are you having? A Big Mac? And you're like, yeah. Yeah. People are asking me questions. But it's great. No, but I'm trying to maintain the facade of compassion for the masses, for the depth-groveling masses. I think I'm doing a good job. You tell me, how's my driving? Am I doing a good job masking my seething rage and disdain for most people? How am I doing? No, but it's all love. We have a good time. We're doing voice chats, text chats. It's a lot of good stuff. AmericaFirst.plus. Before we get into the news, I also want to talk about, guys, what's going on with Patrick Bet-David? Now, look, I like Patrick Bet-David. I like his crew. I like his show. Show's good. I like his interviews. He talks to Andrew Tate. Very good show with Andrew Tate. Talk to Dan Bilzerian. Great show with Dan Bilzerian. Two friends of mine. They're both great. So I think he's a patriot. I think he loves America. We have some disagreements, but he's a pretty conservative guy. I consider him in some ways a fellow traveler on some issues. But he's like refusing to not host me on the show. Now, it's his show. It's his prerogative. But it does constitute a refusal. Because people are requesting it. The fans are requesting it on my show, on his show. People want to see it. And the reason it should be said that people want to see it is because it's going to be an interesting conversation. Whatever you want to say about me, good, bad, or ugly, I don't think anyone can dispute I'm an original thinker. I have an interesting perspective, a novel perspective. That's why people want me on their shows. I bring the views. And if you look at the comments section of any show that I've done, especially recently, people love it. I did a show with Sam Hyde, with Bradley Martin. I did a debate with Dinesh D'Souza. And the comments are all positive. And even the people that disagree say, well, it was thought-provoking, to say the least. So people have been asking for this collaboration for a while. People are asking me, when are you going to get on his show? And I say, well, it's his show. You got to ask him. And he says he doesn't want to have me on because I say the N-word. Okay. I don't agree with it. I accept that that's your explanation. But then today he has on the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu. And that's where you got to say, isn't that a double standard? And don't get me wrong, I'm not being obtuse. I'm not being deliberately obtuse. I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to be fair. I tell it like it is. I understand that Netanyahu is a world leader. So there's a different set of expectations that govern that role when you're a world leader. But Netanyahu is credibly accused of a genocide by the International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court. He was charged with war crimes. And by the way, that's not the Palestinians saying that. The same international bodies that charged Netanyahu with war crimes charged Hamas with war crimes. That's the part that gets buried. They say the ICC is politically motivated. They charged Hamas and Netanyahu with war crimes. And many European governments that are pro-Israel have recognized these rulings as legitimate. So it's not just me. There's massive protests inside of Israel right now about Netanyahu's handling of the war. They believe he's dragging out the war to prolong his time in office. But of course, why do you have the conversation with somebody like that? Because it's an interesting conversation. It's a big get. It's a big show. It's an interesting interview. But then when it concerns me, I said the N-word, that's the problem? So someone like with Netanyahu, we're going to suspend judgment on the famine, the war crimes, the political assassinations. We're going to suspend the judgment on that for the sake of the interview. But with me, I said nigger on the show. And by the way, let's just be adults. I don't respect adults that say the N-word. Are we babies? Ooh, he said the F word. Mommy, he said the F word. He said the S word. He said the D word. We're all adults here. I will not be treated in this diminutive way by black people. What you say, cracker? You can't say. You think you could say that? Yeah. Yeah, and who's going to tell me I can't? You? Why? Because you're black? I'm a grown-ass man. I'm an American. I can say whatever word I like. I could say any swear word, racial slur. Now, granted, we all recognize it's in poor taste to say these words in and out of context, to say the C word towards a woman, to say the N word towards a black person. We understand this. But to penalize somebody for uttering the word, like I just did, without context, just to say, that's the word you got a problem with. What is the word? Nigger. If I say N-word, I'm just making you say it in your head. You all know the word I'm talking about. So on one side, you've got famine, genocide, ethnic cleansing, political assassinations, evading prosecution, arguably taking power, centralizing power in the executive. And on the other side, you have a white guy that deigned to say a racial slur. And you point this out and you say, okay, you have on Andrew Tate, he said the N-word. You have on the war criminal. Isn't that a bit of an extraordinary standard then that's being applied to me? And I actually asked him this on Twitter today. I said, so your problem with me, because he said this on Twitter, he said, well, you know, he says this word and we want it to be a respectful conversation. I said, you've had on Andrew Tate who says the N-word. And by the way, many of your guests, I'm sure, say it in private too. I just say it in public. I said, and I'm nothing but respectful on other debates or conversations. He says, well, yeah, but Tate is black and you're white. Oh, so because I'm white, I can't say it. Tate can say it because he's half white. I can't say it because I'm 80% white? Does that even make sense? And that's even besides the point. Aren't we interested in conversations? As if the restriction is I can't say it on your show, I'll play by the rules. I'm a respectful person. I don't even swear on other people's shows. I try to be respectful, but if that's the reason, it's a little crazy. And then he turns it into, well, you're respectful on shows, but when you react to some shows on your show, then you're intense. Okay, so now it's my reaction off the... What are we doing? And look, I like the guy. If he doesn't want to have me on the show, it's no hard feelings. But I think you lose a lot of credibility. I'm going to give you a little advice. He's giving me advice saying, you're not going to get far using that word. Okay, point taken. And in some sense, I agree with that. I agree with the thrust of what he's saying. My advice to you is if you let something like that get in the way of a good conversation, I think people are going to lose a lot of respect for you. I think you're going to lose a lot of credibility. And I think if you want people to look at your platform as an independent platform that has interesting conversations, that isn't politically correct, you can't have this double standard. And you can't hide anymore. It's 2025. Everyone's on Twitter now. The gates are open. So if you're maintaining this double standard, refusing a guest that is highly demanded, a hot guest that is in high demand over something like that, and it seems like you got this arbitrary standard, I'm telling you, no one's buying it. Everybody's thinking the reason you're not having them on is because it's too controversial and you're afraid of upsetting somebody. That's what everybody's thinking. So, look, I've done a lot of big shows. It would be a big opportunity for me. It's your show, it's your prerogative, but everybody's going to say you lose a lot of credibility when it seems like you're making stuff up like that. And when you're playing games about N-word, are we not all adults? It's words, it's language. You bring on people that bomb little kids and girls and you treat them with respect and dignity. Someone that says the N-word, that's beyond the pale. Let's be serious here.
Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. A teenage girl with an axe may seem like a bizarre headline, but it reflects a continent overwhelmed by migration, abandoned by weak leadership, and distracted by endless wars. Europe is paying the price, but America is not immune. Our government spends billions overseas while our own borders remain wide open. Families struggle, communities change overnight, and the media tells us to stay quiet. The question is not whether Europe can survive. The real question is whether America will repeat the same mistakes. Will our leaders continue to ignore the consequences of uncontrolled immigration? Will they spend American lives and money on foreign wars, while our streets become less safe at home? Or will we demand accountability, demand sovereignty, and demand leadership that actually serves the people? This story is more than a headline. It is a warning. If you agree, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next reality check.